Welcome to the public hearing here in Milwaukee. Happy to be able to be here to listen to your input on the governor's proposed budget. This is our second of 6 hearings. We just finished up in Platteville on Monday. We apologize. Our Senate. I'm John Nygren. I'm the co-chair of on the Assembly side, and you'll see your Assembly representatives up here. But the Senate was actually called back into session this morning. However, they've already completed their work, and they are on their way here. But based on the fact that you came here to start at 10 o'clock, we're going to start at 10 o'clock. Without further ado, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Representative Nygren.
Here.
Goinga.
Here.
Koskowski. Bourne.
Here.
Lautenbeck. Here. Broadcast.
Here.
Hintz. Excused. Shanklin. Senator Darling. Olson. Harsdorf. Markline. Tiffany. Buchmeier. Taylor. Erpenbach.
And we will leave the roll call open for our colleagues that are going to continue to be arriving. Representative Hintz is actually excused. I'm not sure if the birth has happened, but his wife was in labor last I heard, so excused for a very good reason. We will begin by hearing some welcoming comments from some invited speakers. I would ask and remind most of them who are elected officials that their constituents are following them, so timeliness of their comments would definitely be appreciated by the people who are here to speak as well. First up is John Yingling with State Fair Park, followed by Executive Abley and Theo Lipscomb.
Good morning.
Morning.
Chairman Nygren, members of the committee, welcome to Wisconsin State Fair Park. We always enjoy hosting the committee. Very pleased to have you come down and have a public hearing, use our facilities anytime. But more importantly, I just wanted to put in that quick pitch. August 3rd through August 13th, we'll have the Wisconsin State Fair. Look forward to seeing you all at the Wisconsin State Fair. Again, welcome. I said I would keep this brief, and have a great hearing. Thank you again.
Thank you. Milwaukee County Executive Abley. So we have, looks like 3 microphones set up. So as I call folks forward, we can use multiple microphones, be lined up at multiple microphones so there's no waiting. We have Executive Abley and Theo Lipscomb, and then we have Mayor Barrett, Mayor Dan Duvian with West Allis, and Tim Sheehy. If you could step up to microphones, that'd be great. Executive Abley.
I don't see him, sir. If you want, I'll proceed. So thank you, Chairman. I'm Theo Lipscomb. I'm the County Board Chairman here in Milwaukee, and I appreciate you and the other members being here. I appreciate that you've held this hearing here in Milwaukee County so that the million constituents, nearly a million constituents that I represent, or that we represent on the County Board can be heard. We all understand that counties are an extension of state government, and our ability to successfully serve our residents locally is directly tied to the resource and policy decisions you make in Madison. And that's why increased shared revenue and proper funding of state-mandated services remains a core concern for Milwaukee County and all counties and our residents. Milwaukee County departments are continually called upon to provide critical, sometimes urgent services to tens of thousands of individuals and families throughout the county, despite cuts to the county's shared revenue and increasingly stringent levy limits. Milwaukee County has more detailed budget and legislative agenda, which we'll certainly share, more than I can do in 2 minutes today, but I wanted to highlight a couple of issues. Our transit system is increasingly confronted with the need to connect suburban employers with urban employees in the face of flat state support. Investments in transit, just like other transportation infrastructure, should be understood for what they are: necessary and powerful tools for economic development. Transit is the most efficient way for us to get more people to school and work, a goal that I know that we share. The governor's proposed budget does alleviate some of the county's budgetary challenges, particularly in the area of local transportation aids, and for that we are appreciative and supportive. But it does not adequately address another issue: the crisis in our juvenile justice system. Lincoln Hills and Copper Lake are deeply flawed institutions. The FBI is investigating horrific allegations. The Department of Justice continues to assess whether criminal charges are warranted. Our own Chief Judge, Maxine White, visited and called the conditions there inhumane. More than a year ago, we declared a state of emergency, but the status quo remains. In Milwaukee County, judges are forced to continue sending our youth to these facilities because there are no other secure alternatives. What's more, under the proposed budget, the 18% increase in the average daily rate proposed, Milwaukee County will be forced to spend at least $2 million more over the biennium for inadequate care rather than develop more effective solutions. So I stand before you today to respectfully request that you work with Milwaukee County to develop local alternatives for secure and community-based juvenile correctional facilities. I appreciate your time. I really do appreciate that you held a hearing here in Milwaukee. And I and my staff will certainly be available at any time throughout the process for more interaction. Thank you.
Next up, just for crowd understanding, the more clapping, those type of things takes time, so we don't, during our hearings, we don't allow for show of support or displeasure. So please just let's hear from the speakers. Good morning.
Thank you, Chairman Nygren.
I think you might need to speak in the microphone.
Thank you, Chairman Nygren, and members of the committee. Good to have you here in the county. I'll try and keep it brief. I have some of the same messages I think that you'll hear from other folks here today. So as you probably know, because I've talked to most of you about it, for 6 years I've worked very hard to be a good steward of the funding that you send from the state here to the county to deliver the programs you mandate us to deliver. And to that end, we have dramatically lowered our liabilities, improved our credit rating, gotten a lot more efficient, a lot more performance driven. We want to keep that momentum going. So very quickly, within eyesight of where we are now, I mean, if you could look through the building, is the Zoo interchange. And along with I-43, 43% of Wisconsin's goods and services and cargo head to market with millions of drivers every year for the entire state, 43%. We need the state to find some sustainable funding level to meet the needs of a transportation system, the highways, and obviously, I agree, transit. For the good of the economy, the safety, the people of Milwaukee County, and all of Wisconsin, we have to complete the north leg of the Zoo interchange. I just think that's crucial. I agree with Chairman Lipscomb. We need to do better on Lincoln Hills as well. In the state budget, there's an increase in the daily rate, the juvenile daily rate, from $292 to $352. So we will be paying a lot more for the significantly less kids we're sending up to a system 4 hours away that is, I think, in most people's estimation, we can agree, anything but adequate. We need to do better. We have proposed ideas for secure residential facilities down here with which we know we can deliver better service, more efficient service, better public safety, and save money, and we want to work with the state on that. I want to emphasize that I see myself not just as the county executive, but as a proud resident of the state of Wisconsin. I want the county to do well. I want the state to do well. It's not an us versus them, and we have our best success when we work with you. And the final example of that is I urge you to keep in the VW settlement that we had with the state on this. This is something that, because we worked with the state, benefits both the state budget and is going to save the county a lot of borrowing interest money, which I think we all agree is a good savings. I appreciate greatly your time. I know this is a long process and you're going to hear from a lot of people. Thanks for doing it, and I hope you enjoy other aspects of your time in the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Next up is Mayor here. I don't see him. Next after him was Tim Sheehy, followed by Chancellor Mayhow. I'm sorry, and we also had Mayor Dan Dubian of West Allis. We have 3 microphones. Please line up at the microphone so that we don't waste time opportunity. Followed by Superintendent Driver and Dr. Martin. Tim.
Chairman Nygren, members of the committee, we got to get it up higher. Yeah. There. Now it's at Mingus height. Thank you very much for the opportunity to appear. I appreciate the work that you're doing on the budget, and I want to focus my few remarks on the most important issue facing the economy in Metro Milwaukee, and that is talent. Talent is the most important thing for us to compete on a global economy. So I want you to consider just a few facts as you put the budget together. First, our gross metropolitan product has grown by 4.5% to $106 billion. I want you to consider the historically high employment that we have. In all 4 counties in the metro area, unemployment is under 4.5%. In 3 of the counties, unemployment is under 3.2%. The region is projected to grow over the next 10 years 45,000 new jobs. During that same time period, we are going to lose 43,000 people out of the labor force. It creates a workforce gap of 88,000 people. We need talent. The next thing I want to point out is that in the city of Milwaukee, 65% of our census tracts have unemployment over 10%. 69% of the census tracts have poverty over 20%. That means for every 3,000 people in a census tract, we've got 600 in poverty. So what I'd like you to focus on is if we don't educate, graduate, and incorporate children of color in our economy, we are going to fail. So I appreciate the increased investment in per pupil funding, but I'd like you to consider closing the gap for choice and charter students who are funded 41% and 34% less respectively. We appreciate the $100 extra that's going into schools that perform above a 4-star on the student report card. We'd like you to consider focusing on the Wisconsin Reading Corps program by taking $1.2 million and putting it into a program that is proven to get kids, low-income kids, reading at the 3rd grade level. This will help 1,000 kids and leverage 45% of funding in private funding. I'd also like you to consider $500,000 that you've put into Teach for America. That helps 130 teachers, 47% of whom are teachers of color. It's the most diverse teaching corps we have in Milwaukee. And we appreciate the investment that you're making in the UW system. In the brief time that I have, my point is that the budget's on the right track, and we appreciate the balance that you have to strike between revenue and resourcing. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Third call for Mayor Barrett and Mayor Dan to All right, not seeing them, I will move on to Superintendent Driver.
Good morning, representatives. Thank you for taking the time to come speak with us today in Milwaukee. There's been a lot of progress made in the area of partnership and working together, so we appreciate the opportunity to speak this morning. As superintendent of Milwaukee Public Schools, I have the privilege of serving 77,000 students. 87% of them are students of color, 80% of them live in poverty, 10% are English language learners, and about 20% of them receive specialized services. We know that there are no shortcuts to creating the change that we need to see in our system and across our state. It takes time and hard work and resources. And so I just wanted to go over a few things that we do support and also reinforce the opportunities that we've had as a team to be able to make progress. First, I wanted to move into the importance of the $200 increase in the first year and $204 per pupil increases proposed by Governor Walker and supported by Superintendent Tony Evers. These funds are essential to the welfare of our students. Anything less will result in more significant cuts to school budgets. I ask for your support in meeting these funding levels. I also want to stress that this is not additional money that we would see. This allows us and all of our school districts to be able to maintain the level of service that we have in our schools. Second, we appreciate and support the increased summer school funding that is proposed by the governor at $1.4 million annually. This allows us to extend our J term that we are starting by having an earlier start calendar, providing services in June and July. We ask that that funding is maintained. This gives us the opportunity to provide robust programming essentially year-round for all of our students. We are asking also for the possibility to be considered for an early start calendar for public schools across our state. If not across our state, please consider it for the students in Milwaukee. We are aware of the challenges that we have with student achievement. We believe that having more time, which is the most precious resource that we have, will give us the opportunity to expand. We also support the $5.6 million in funding that is focused on supporting students in Milwaukee. We are a part of an urban-rural collaboration that's led by Representative Felskowski that has allowed us to see other parts of the state that are focused on fab labs, as well as being able to focus on teacher recruitment and retention and access to technology, which is very important. We believe that the funding for this could be used to help elevate reading strategies that are good for all students, as well as access to programming that will connect education and economics and business. We are also pleased that we are focused on the mental health and trauma needs of our city. We hope that that conversation will continue around wraparound services. We have talked about bringing a Harlem Children's Zone to Milwaukee, and we hope that those conversations will continue, allowing us to elevate our communities. Thank you for your time. I realize my time is up. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Professor Benjamin. Next up is Dr. Vicki Martin, here at Technical College. Once again, let me start calling people that have signed in to testify and start lining up at the microphone so that we can use all our time as quickly as possible. Dan Thornburg, Cindy Petrowski, Rebecca Moxalevich, Brian Andrew Venus, John Stelmacher, Jonathan Mitchell, Karen Schmeeken, Blake Hughes. We'll start with those for now. Dr. Martin, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much. I am here testifying with our key partners, and I'd like to acknowledge their attendance and thank them for taking the time to testify. Mary Honey, Executive Director, Granville Business Improvement District, Mark Kessenich, President and CEO of WRTP Big Step, and Pete Cafaro from Employ Milwaukee. Thank you for your support in the budget increases for WTCS, $5 million in general aid, and $1.9 million in Wisconsin grants. METC is helping to fill the middle skills gap and work with our key partners. Every day, METC is ensuring that our students excel in some of the region's most needed careers in high-demand fields. We serve approximately 40,000 students annually in our region. In Wisconsin alone, over half the job openings will be for middle skill jobs that will require more than a high school diploma, but not a four-year degree. And METC is uniquely positioned, as well as our other tech college sister partners. METC was the first college to launch the Promise Program, a last dollar scholarship program, a public-private partnership aimed at attracting low-income direct from high school graduates, getting them on a career and technical education pathway and putting them to work much faster with family-sustaining wages, where it makes it affordable, accessible, reducing student debt. It's free for them. Graduates of a career and tech educational programs are equipped with the skills to fill some of the region's most in-demand jobs. In fact, 89% of METC grads are employed or furthering their education within 6 months of graduation right here in our area, thereby contributing to higher levels of our state's economy. METC has demonstrated marked improvement under the current outcome-based funding model. Expansion of our dual enrollment programs, for example, with area high schools. Increased and stronger partnerships with area business and industry as demonstrated by our partners with us today. Our current model is working and producing results across the state. There's not a need to change it. This would require a whole new reporting framework and tracking system, which would require additional resources better allocated towards actually training workers to fill the jobs in our community and across the state. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll turn it now over to my partners.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mark Kessenich, President and CEO of Wisconsin Regional Training Partnership Big Step in Wisconsin here. We service the manufacturing and construction industries across the state, and in particular we're here to express our support for not only MATC but WTCS as a whole. As a training institution, these are vital partners to us as we're trying to build Milwaukee's infrastructure as well as serve manufacturers throughout the state through apprenticeship programs in construction, manufacturing, to making sure that the Milwaukee Bucks and Northwestern Mutual are going to meet their goals in terms of getting people attached to not only jobs but family-sustaining careers. So we're here to express our strong support for MATC and the full technical college system as a whole. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Pico Fry. I work as the Chief Program Officer at Employ Milwaukee. We serve as the Workforce Development Board for Milwaukee County. I'm here to provide support to Dr. Martin's testimony. Employ Milwaukee and MATC are working to create and facilitate an employer-led, industry-focused model. Key industry sectors include manufacturing, construction, healthcare, finance, information technology, and hospitality. We develop strategic partnerships with employers, we get to know their needs, and then we put in-demand solutions for them. Several examples include a recent class that we did last year, industrial maintenance mechanics class and CNC machinist class, high-paying middle-skill jobs. Before the graduates even completed the class, they all had employment opportunities. Another great example is the work that we do with MATC with regard to important apprenticeships for those middle-skill opportunities that exist. And finally, along career opportunities in the important information technology sector, we're currently working with MATC on career pathways that they've developed to hopefully put 400 people in technical training in IT over the course of the next 4 years. We're pleased to support MATC in their work, and we support their efforts in this. Thank you.
Good morning, Mary Honey from the Granville Business Improvement District. I represent over 95 manufacturers on the northwest side of Milwaukee. We utilize MATC for incumbent workforce training. What that does is it helps fill the skills gap that we hear so much about. We bring MATC in, and what we do is we train our employees so that they get better versed, are more knowledgeable, can move up and get promoted. By them getting promoted, we are now working to train our citizens that live on the northwest side of Milwaukee to get trained so that they can take the jobs in Granville, and then eventually they too will go up the pipeline and get promoted into supervisory, managerial jobs, etc. Without our MATC partnership, this can't happen, and this is critical to the skills gap. We support MATC.
So I assume this is Jan Thornburg, right?
Jan Thornburg.
Okay, so whenever after you've been called, when you come up, if you could say your name so that we can cross you off the list, that'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Jan Thornburg. I'm AARP volunteer advocate and an AARP tax volunteer. AARP will testify at all 6 hearings because we believe that investing in Wisconsin seniors and their caregivers can yield a silver dividend. The silver dividend will save the taxpayer money and will enhance. To reap the benefits of this silver dividend, we will encourage you to build on the strength of existing programs, to use the tax system to support aging in place, to maximize both legislative and stakeholder input in any health care redesign, to provide support for family caregivers, to help people prepare financially for retirement, and to use modern technology to reduce isolation and to provide greater access to health and wellness. Using the budget as a planning document, Wisconsin can make smart investments that will pay off in the future as a silver dividend. We can reduce the projected costs of aging programs by providing people with easier ways to save, and by supporting them and their caregivers so fewer will be dependent on government programs. Each hearing, we will make a suggestion in one of these categories. Today, we will testify on using tax policy to support and encourage caregiving. Wisconsin has 578,000 caregivers that provides $7 billion in care every year. More than 3 in 4 family caregivers are incurring out-of-pocket costs as a result of that caregiving. Without family caregivers providing financial support, thousands of older Americans would be forced to find alternate care and support, often with taxpayer-funded programs. The caregiver tax credit provides some financial relief to caregivers and allows older Wisconsinites to remain at home. It delays or eliminates the need for elders to go to nursing home and taxpayer-funded programs. The average family caregiver spends about $7,000 per year on out-of-pocket costs related to caregiving. 3 in 10 caregivers have dipped into their personal savings to pay for care, and 1 in 6 caregivers has reduced contributions to their own retirement savings. If caregivers have to continue to use their own savings to provide care for family members, they jeopardize their own health and well-being and increase the possibility that they too will need the support of taxpayer-funded programs. Family caregiver support is crucial to maintaining quality for older Wisconsinites and ensures that seniors can remain at home or in the care of their families instead of residing in expensive institutions that cost taxpayer money. We propose that the JFC create a $1,000 caregiver tax credit. Family caregivers can use this credit to offset at least some of the cost of care and help continue the family-created safety net which supports many older Wisconsinites. Thank you for this opportunity to testify.
Thank you.
Great job.
For the Aging and Disability Professionals Association of Wisconsin, and I am also the director of the ADRC of Portage County. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the dementia care specialist position. The position should be reinstated into the state budget and expanded statewide and made permanent. And I would encourage all of you, unless this is your first term, you would have seen former Secretary Kitty Rhodes' long-term care redesign document, quite lengthy, and if you read that document, you will see numerous references to the dementia care specialist, and that being a key to keeping long-term care costs down statewide. So the position is an investment in not putting people into assisted living and nursing homes and helping keep them in our community much longer. I'd also like to mention healthy aging programs for Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Institute for Healthy Aging has certainly made evidence-based health programs available in all of our communities, in which we see impacts for ambulance, for staying in your home. There's far-reaching. It's not just the individual, it impacts the entire community. The last thing I'd like to mention is transportation. We're starting to hear that there's talk about pulling transportation out of the Department of Mass Transit out of the Department of Mass Transportation and those specialized transit programs. That is very concerning to us because without the specialized transportation dollars, many seniors and adults with disabilities would not be able to get rides. And so how that would be funded, it would need to be, it's a big commitment and it would need to be ongoing. So that's just an area of concern going forward, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Morning.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Muchaleski and I'm from New Berlin. As a citizen and a taxpayer of Wisconsin, I am baffled about why Wisconsin has been so slow to implement criminal justice reform measures as many other states have done, particularly regarding the old law parole issue. I personally know many women who are sisters, wives, mothers, and friends of old law inmates. I am very concerned about the governor's attempts to abolish the parole board and what that would mean for these men and women and for their families. Today, there are more than 3,000 old law inmates who were sentenced before truth in sentencing. They were sentenced to excessively long sentences, knowing that after 25% of their sentences were served, they would become eligible for parole. This was the law at the time that they were sentenced. Truth in sentencing is being applied retroactively. Some of the sentencing judges are even coming forward and saying that this is wrong. This was never their intent when they were sentenced. There needs to be an independent review of all old law inmates who are eligible for parole to determine who could be released safely in Wisconsin. Many of these men and women have done everything they possibly can to rehabilitate themselves. And many of these men and women are working outside of the prison, and they are also unsupervised. And this is happening every day. This is telling me that the Wisconsin Department of Corrections does not perceive them as a threat. So we really need to know what is going on here. Eliminating the parole board is not an option, and applying truth in sentencing retroactively is wrong. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Karen Speaker, and Thank you. Good morning. My name is Karen Schmeeken, and I am on the Transportation Task Force of Waukesha County, part of a statewide faith-based community called Wisdom. This task force is advocating for increased dedicated funding for public transportation. 4 years ago, the governor's appointed Wisconsin Transportation Finance and Policy Commission reported on the dire need for improved public transportation. All of the recommendations have gone unheeded, yet are still as pertinent today as then. Public transportation is an economic driver. In fact, it is a key part of our infrastructure and a key consideration for businesses deciding whether to relocate or locate in Wisconsin. A strong transportation system helps create healthy, vibrant communities. Every dollar that's spent on public transportation comes back threefold. It is an investment that pays back with interest. A German company announced they are going to build a manufacturing plant in Pleasant Prairie, creating 400 good-paying jobs. There is projected employment growth in Washington and Ozaukee counties. All three of these counties have a 3% unemployment rate. Where will these workers come from, and how are they going to get there? An improved inter-county public transportation system in place with increased funding in this next budget cycle will begin to develop a solution not only for that German company, but would encourage other companies to locate in Wisconsin. Over 7,000 citizens, your constituents, have participated in SewerPAC's Vision 2050. The overwhelming majority of those citizens said it is important to be able to reach jobs by public transportation, rating what we currently have as below average or poor, often providing people with a ride to work but no ride home. They supported an expansive rapid transit system. As taxpayers, we've supported SewerPAC to be our voice. The Commission plan includes solutions on how to achieve that. Please support that. Do you support the citizens who have participated and have already given their voice? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is John Stellmacher. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the School District of Hartford, here representing the 2,000 students in Hartford. Wanted to testify in support of the governor's proposal for $200 and $204 in the next 2 years of the biennium. We've long, as a member of the Wisconsin Association of School Business Officials, asked for an inflationary increase to allow us the cost of continuance for our operations. This budget does that, and we want to express our thanks for that. Hartford Joint 1's a low-spending school district, and we have been since 1993. We're about 8% below the state average. That's not a complaint, just simply a fact. Despite being a low-spending school district, we're proud of the innovations we've been able to do. Our district currently exceeds expectations on the state school report card. We've made a number of investments in math and reading coaches, instructional coaches, and our district hopes to achieve or to be a significantly exceeding expectations district next year with the release of the next report card. We've greatly used the Act 10 tools in our school district. We've bid out insurance twice the last 5 years. We've had a health insurance increase of a total of 2% over the past 6 years. Our employee contributions for health insurance are now 16 to 21%, and we have fully funded all of our remaining post-employment benefit liability. Our request today, beyond asking you to support the $204 in the governor's budget, would be to not add new mandates and new requirements on us. Since Act 10, we've been able to innovate within our district, find solutions that work for kids, and be able to do it in a way that's responsible for taxpayers. Our district, the past 6 years, has reduced property taxes every year. Our goal is to continue that despite being increasing in enrollment. But again, we require the flexibility that you gave us 6 years ago and ask that you keep any additional mandates out of the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. My name is Blake Poise, and I am the Superintendent of Schools for the St. Francis Public School District. Despite all of our work, totaling over $3.5 million in budget refinements over the last 5 or 6 years, we face this year a $900,000 deficit in this upcoming fiscal year. Even if the governor's proposal is approved, we will still need to find another $600,000, which is actually 5% of our operating budget, to remain accountable to our community in passing a balanced budget. To do so will require us to again reduce teaching staff, thereby limiting programming and raising class size on our students. We believe that we have demonstrated great prudence in how we have managed our finances locally, having not raised our tax levy for nearly 7 years. And we believe the governor's proposal of $200 and $204 in each of the 2 years of the biennium is the minimum reasonable to support our fiscally responsible public school district. I would also like to urge caution with regard to the proposed legislation regarding Act 32 and energy efficiency projects. We have actively studied this process and are anticipating the possible usage of this process to bring our buildings into more energy efficient status. Our goal would be not to burden our taxpayers with additional levies on the tax levy. We feel that if Act 32 is rolled back, that our ability to manage some of these very important updates to our systems would place us in a further disadvantaged position and limit our abilities to keep schools running at the most appropriate and efficient levels. We are hopeful that full consideration is given to allowing Act 32 to continue, as we see this as an excellent option for us to be responsible and use this exemption for the betterment of our students, teachers, and families through the provision of high quality educational environments. Thank you very much for your time. We are optimistic after all the testimonies received, you will make decisions that will directly benefit our students in public schools. Thank you.
Thank you. The remaining two in the queue, Andrew Hanus and Jonathan Mitchell. And I'm going to call a few more to line up at the 3 microphones. Kyle Thien, I believe it is, from Germantown. Sandra Helinski. Sue Gramling. Deborah Scott. Pat Anderson. Laura Ryan. Patricia Herrera. I believe it's Dulce Castro. Stacy Racine Lynch. And Laverne Jaros. You could line up the 3 separate microphones.
Good morning. I'm Andrew Hannis with Aurora Healthcare. I'm here today with leaders from Milwaukee Area Health Systems, 2 of whom will be speaking. And so I'll turn it over first to Steve Francavilla, also from Aurora Healthcare.
Excuse me. Thank you, Chair Nygren, for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Steve Francavilla. I'm here to speak on behalf of Aurora Healthcare. As president of Greater Milwaukee South Service Area, I help lead 4 of Aurora Healthcare's 15 hospitals in southeastern Wisconsin. This includes Aurora Sinai, the last remaining downtown hospital, Aurora St. Luke's Medical Center, the largest hospital in the state, Aurora West Allis Medical Center, and Aurora St. Luke's South Shore. At Aurora, we pride ourselves on high-quality care while keeping costs down. Through greater efficiency, we have made significant strides over the past decade. This is good news for patients, employers, and the state. Unfortunately, insufficient Medicaid funding continues to be a major problem. As the state's largest Medicaid provider, our most recent MA shortfall totaled $320 million at cost. This is our share, our patients' share, and the hidden health care tax. Meanwhile, Wisconsin's Medicaid program has experienced a surplus of more than $300 million. While we're happy to see a stable Medicaid budget, the program still just pays 65 cents on the dollar, meaning that the surplus has been paid for by hospitals and by patients. We ask that a portion of this surplus be used to improve health care for our state's sickest and poorest citizens. In the past, this committee has supported the DISH program, which helps safety net hospitals like Aurora Sinai continue to serve a population made up of roughly 50% Medicaid beneficiaries. We appreciate the committee's past support and ask that you please strengthen the DISH program to allow hospitals like Sinai to continue to keep serving its patient population. In addition, I respectfully request that this committee consider making investments in innovation changes with proven results, such as provider-led coordination. At Aurora, we have already begun doing some of our own work on this. Our Coverage to Care program has decreased emergency room visits for high utilizers by 39%. This is a win-win, more appropriate care for patients and reduced charges for payers. Finally, we applaud the legislature's recent commitment to mental health and ask that you invest in the critical area of outpatient behavioral health. We have seen a tremendous increase in the need of behavioral health care, but still have insufficient Medicaid reimbursement. We believe that all of these investments will represent critical progress towards fixing the Medicaid problem in our state and help the most vulnerable members of our population maintain access to care. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, committee members, for your time this morning.
I apologize. I didn't realize there was somebody else in here. My apologies.
Thank you.
I grew up. I apologize.
It's a great day to be a Wisconsinite. I'm Kevin Cleveland. Call me Scooter. I'm Kevin Kleesner. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer at Ascension St. Joseph Hospital in Milwaukee. Ascension, Wisconsin is made up of the legacy systems of Columbia St. Mary's and Wheaton Franciscan Healthcare in Milwaukee and Racine, in Affinity Health in the Fox Valley, and Ministry Health in the state's northern region. I'm privileged today to represent Ascension's 24 hospitals across our state and districts many of you represent. I represent not just our hospitals, but our physicians, 24,000 caregivers, and the neighbors and the residents who depend on us. Steve said that Medicaid reimbursement for Wisconsin hospitals is the second worst in the country at 65% of our cost. That's less than 2/3 of our cost, not our charges. And often these unpaid costs are shifted to Wisconsin employers and families. Statewide, the impact of this hidden health care tax from Medicaid is $1 billion with a B. The Medicaid shortfall for Ascension Wisconsin hospitals alone is nearing $200 million a year, and we provide another $30 million a year in free care for people with no ability to pay. For an urban safety net hospital like mine, where there are few commercial payers to shift those costs to and a chronically large number of uninsured, the losses mount. Wisconsin's Medicaid program experienced a more than $300 million surplus in 2017. Unfortunately, that money's not being used right now to increase provider funding, but it's instead being pulled into the state's general fund. Today, I'm asking the state to invest at least $30 million of the Medicaid surplus back into Medicaid payments and into the expansion of graduate medical education. I think it's a small ask. I'm asking you to invest just 1/10 of the Medicaid surplus to help sustain our safety net hospitals and to ensure we train enough physicians and other providers to care for our state's residents as the population continues to age. With the additional $30 million in funding, I ask you to increase your support of the Medicaid disproportionate share hospital program, which is currently the 5th smallest of its kind in the country. For years, Wisconsin hospitals have been helping to support the state's Medicaid program, providing high-quality care at rates well below the cost of delivering that care. On both sides of the aisle, you've acknowledged that Medicaid reimbursement is a problem here. Now's the time to do something about it by using part of the Medicaid surplus to increase safety net hospital reimbursement and to help address the healthcare workforce challenges that we face in this state. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now you're up, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, committee members, for your time this morning. My name is Jonathan Mitchell, and I work as the Director of Finance and Operations for the St. Francis School District. In order to maintain a balanced budget, we have done the following in the last 5 years. We've decreased our custodial staffing costs by 17%, our technology staffing by 37%, while trying to meet expectations that our technology system is sufficient to allow for high engagement with our students. We've reduced 33% of our art teaching staff, with another 9% further reduction pending this coming school year. We've reduced 17% of our music staff. We've eliminated a Japanese foreign language program. We've eliminated food and consumer science programming. We've eliminated all supplemental retirement plans beyond the Wisconsin retirement system contributions. We've instituted a teacher compensation model which can attract and retain new teachers to the district and still keep annual average salary increases below 2%. We've required an 18% contribution from employees on health insurance plans. We would advocate the committee consider not requiring the Act 10 standard as it relates to health insurance premiums, as it allows flexibility to offer discounts for wellness programming and health risk assessments, which 90% of our staff members participate in. Through negotiations, plan design changes, and engagement in a wellness culture, we have maintained the same health insurance premium since 2013. We have also reduced math, English, social studies, and science positions at our high school. Despite these and many other refinements, over the same time period, we've added 7 advanced placement classes, have 44% of our 8th graders taking algebra classes, and become one of 2 public school districts in the state to receive district-level advanced ed accreditation. We believe our targeted programming to allow for growth and extensions to learning is worthy of a minimum of $200 and $204 per pupil aid increase over the biennium. Thank you.
Thank you. Little announcement, as I mentioned earlier, Representative Hintz was not here because they were, actually his wife was in labor. Announcement at 8:54 a.m., Beatrix Frances Hintz was born. So congratulations to Representative Hintz and his family. What's that? One time you can clap. Yeah, one time you can clap today. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Your name, sir?
My name is Russell Retzak.
I don't have a slip for you, sir.
Well, there's one I filled out.
But you haven't been called, I don't believe.
No, I haven't been called.
We're actually calling people as they're in line.
Well, you're...
Tell you what, let's just go, but anybody else, we're not going to do this, okay? It's first come, first served.
Thank you, sir. I suggest that there are at least 3 areas of the budget that ought to be changed. First of all, I'm told that to maintain the streets, roads, and highways of the state of Wisconsin costs about $1 billion a year, and that's with a B. I think it ought to be put in the budget. Secondly, the budget proposes to reduce state support for the University of Wisconsin system by about $1 million. I think that money should be restored to the university, since support of the university is an investment in the future of the state and its citizens. And finally, I'm told that members of the State Assembly and Senate are currently provided with salary, fringe benefits, and reimbursed expenses which can add up to $80,000 per year. Since the job of these individuals only requires them to work about 2 months each year, that seems outrageous. Part-time work should bring part-time pay and part-time fringe benefits. Thank you, sir.
We're going left to right, so if you're not at a microphone, there's an opportunity here for you, okay?
Committee members.
Sir, you're going to have to lean into that microphone and speak up.
Yes, sir. My name is Kyle Thine. I am the Radiography Program Director at the Freighter Hospital School of Radiologic Technology. I also have the privilege to serve as a board member for the Wisconsin Society of Radiologic Technologists and as an accreditation apprentice site visitor for the JRCERT, the national accrediting body for radiologic technology. I'm here today to oppose the elimination of the Radiography Examining Board. Behind me are juniors and seniors from our program. These individuals are from 6 universities across southeastern Wisconsin, and they are here in support of my message and of our profession. The Radiography Examining Board is currently made up of individuals with intricate knowledge of the profession and the science behind the imaging of our patients. As a radiographer, educator, and manager within imaging services, I know very well the extensive amount of training that a radiographer must possess. This training and knowledge base leads to the quality, safe, and cost-effective care of patients in imaging departments across this great state. Radiographers must be able to provide basic patient care skills as all medical professionals. However, these individuals need to take their education and training to the next level. They must be able to determine how to perfectly position patients to safely deliver ionizing radiation, which interacts differently with each patient's pathology, and to acquire a quality image for diagnosis on a vast spectrum of technologically advanced equipment types. Many of these examinations and procedures deliver high doses of radiation. The radiographer's ability to complete the examination safely is crucial, as ionizing radiation exposure to patients has a cumulative and lasting effect. I speak for other radiography program directors in our state that oppose transferring the Radiography Examining Board responsibilities to the Medical Examining Board. The decisions and actions made as they pertain to radiology without full understanding of the science and care provided in medical imaging would negatively affect the end outcomes of the patients of Wisconsin. I'm also aware that all licenses in the state will be reviewed by the Occupational License Review Council. We have concerns about the potential elimination of the licenses of those delivering ionizing radiation. Should these licenses be removed, patients receiving care in Wisconsin in imaging will be put at risk. I ask that you fully consider the implications of eliminating these licenses and the Radiography Examining Board, and urge you to continue to let our profession make decisions based upon the science and experience of qualified radiographers, radiologists, and radiation physicists. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Patricia Anderson. I'm a resident of Milwaukee. Today I stand before you as a living example of how tobacco can destroy someone's life. You see, I'm supposed to be planning my anniversary outing with my husband of 12 years. Our anniversary is the 21st. But a month ago, I had to plan his funeral due to tobacco. My husband was exposed to cigarettes at an early age. He often told me stories of how he went to his father's bar with him, and he was exposed to secondhand smoke because his mother had to work. Advocates like Wisconsin Tobacco Prevention and Poverty Network was not around when my husband was a youth. They would have helped my husband understand the risk. Our youth deserve a brighter future. My husband's life was altered at 39 when he had a massive heart attack, and at 44 when he was diagnosed with bladder cancer, all from smoking. Far too young, too much potential gone because of tobacco. We must do our part to save our community, and I'm asking you elected officials to do your part. Please continue to support tobacco prevention and control programs such as Wisconsin Tobacco Prevention and Poverty Network, so they can inform the community about the harms of tobacco. Another wife, mother, sister, brother, or child should never have to bury their loved one due to tobacco. Thank you.
My name is Laverne Jarris. I'm director of the Kenosha County Division of Aging and Disability Services, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today, and to thank you for the state's partnership with counties in providing services to our older and disabled populations. Our ADRC believes strongly in prevention, helping older adults and persons with disabilities to avoid or delay the need for long-term care. Unfortunately, two important programs, prevention programs, were not included in the governor's budget. One is the dementia care specialists that provide invaluable support to individuals and families, and the other is the healthy aging grants that support evidence-based health promotion programs on topics like falls prevention and chronic disease self-management. So I would ask you to support the continued funding for those programs and to vote with the angels being, purple angels being the symbol of dementia-friendly communities. I also just want to mention that two issues. One is the critical shortage of direct care workers. While we applaud the proposals for training incentives and a 2% provider increase, we fear that that's not sufficient to recruit and retain a direct care workforce. Furthermore, if federal Medicaid cuts are approved, where are we possibly going to get enough money to recruit and retain workers, let alone to continue the care we now provide for our vulnerable populations? Thank you.
Good morning, Senator Darling and Representative Nygren and members of the Joint Finance Committee. My name is Sandra Holinsky, a registered radiologic technologist for over 30 years. As a Legislative Committee Chairperson of the Wisconsin Society of Radiologic Technologists, the WSRT, I bring to this committee the concerns of 7,114 other registered radiologic technologists in the state. The WSRT is aware that the Wisconsin State Budget Bill includes a provision to eliminate the Radiography Examining Board and to transfer its duties to the Medical Examining Board. We are strongly opposed to this provision. The $50,000 approximate cost savings that the elimination of the Radiography Examining Board and other professional boards is minimal, considering the cost that a misguided diagnostic path from incompetent radiographic practices means to a patient. The Radiography Examining Board consists of individuals specifically knowledgeable in the delivery of medical radiation. The REB concludes 3 radiographers, a radiologist physician, and a radiation physicist, individuals who actually perform, interpret, and monitor medical practices involving radiation. The Medical Examining Board is not statutorily required to include a radiologist. Evaluation of radiologic practice concerns brought to the attention of a generalized board like the MEB with its own significant workload would not receive the timely consideration that the trusting population deserves. The elimination of the REB and its dedication to maintaining the most current and highest standards of radiologic care would be an indisputable step backwards for the patients of Wisconsin. It is important to be understood that the practice of radiography is a highly specialized field that involves significant doses of medical radiation. The REB not only administers to practices involving X-ray exams, but also to those of CT scanning and others performed in catheterization suites. Some of these radiologic procedures have replaced operative procedures at the expense of significant radiation dose delivery. For this reason alone, it is essential that proper practices are followed and monitored by the REB by persons specifically trained in radiation safety. Thank you for this opportunity to express our views to the Joint Finance Committee. We appreciate your time and consideration.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. My name is Dulce Castro and I am a current student at Marquette University, and this is my mom and I'm gonna be translating. Her name is Patricia Herrera and she's a volunteer at the Wisconsin Hispanic Latino Tobacco Prevention Network program. We're from Milwaukee. She comes today to speak about keeping funding for the tobacco control program. When I was 16 years old, my husband offered me my first cigar. It was not difficult for me to say no because my parents smoked and my grandparents. I remember that my first time smoking a cigar, it made me feel sick and dizzy. Despite this, I continued smoking because it made me feel important. I started with 1 cigar and then it became a packet a day. When my daughters were young, they became members of the Wisconsin Youth Tobacco Prevention Movement. In this group, they learned the effects of tobacco. I remember that for years, they would beg us to stop smoking. They would also inform us about the damage that tobacco can cause to our bodies. Even though we knew they were right, our addiction was so strong that we weren't able to stop. 25 years passed and things weren't the same until one day my husband had a heart attack. The results concluded that all of his arteries were completely blocked due to the cigar smoke. In less than 8 hours, he had to get an open heart surgery. When I saw him between life and death, I realized that this was what my daughters tried to prevent since the beginning. As soon as my husband was released from the hospital, we made a promise that we would stop smoking. The process was not easy for neither of us. We noticed that we would easily get angry and upset at any small situations. There were days that we wanted to hide from our daughters to have a cigar. When I was going to sleep, the only thing that I could think was of smoking. It has been 4 years since we have become smoke-free. Now we feel free from that horrible addiction that we thought we would never get rid of. Some causes that tobacco left us are sensitive teeth, thin, fragile hair, and bills from my husband's